doing Assault Android Cactus in 3, 2, 1, go.
That was a solid countdown. It's a good start.
So, this is Assault Android Cactus. It's a top-down twin-stick shooter, which you can play with a gamepad, as Mr. Bond is doing with Aubergine, or you can play it with keyboard and mouse, as you can see Mr. Toucan Sam over here doing, with Starch. Yes, I almost confused their names. I'm doing great. You can see that there's this targeting reticle on the screen, which is Sam's mouse pointer. So you can see where he's aiming, whereas Mr. Bond just has the line that shows where his right stick is aiming. Left stick moves, right stick aims, right trigger shoots. That's generally how this works. So the premise of this game is we've got these androids that are making their way through this ship, which is called the Genki Star.
Please give me that.
Because the ship received a distress signal, or sent out a distress signal, which was received and dispatched to Cactus, the title android of the game, because the robots have gone haywire and are trying to kill everybody. And the Nexus core, more disturbingly, has gone offline, or has gone incommunicado and is not talking to anybody. So these androids are making their way through the ship, past the killer robots, past the section lords, and trying to figure out what happened to the Nexus core.
It's weird that you beat me on that one.
Must have had more surges.
So, but they just finished the first level, which is called Descent. We're into the second level now. You can see that each level is sort of a little arena type thing, and each one has its own little features. So like this level has holes in the ground, which you will find out very quickly that the game will not let you fall in a hole, as opposed to, say, Helldivers. You can't walk, obviously you can't walk across holes, but you can shoot across them. Now, on the subject of shooting, I should point out that, well, the weapon that Aubergine has is kind of not subject to normal shooting rules. Hello is the name of the robot that Aubergine controls as a weapon, and it just goes around slicing everything, and you can basically control it within a certain radius. And it's actually really hard to control on gamepad, so shout-outs to Mr. Bond for making this kind of look easy.
Yeah, it definitely will.
Meanwhile, Starch has a laser, which when you're playing casually, you may not realize it, but something that's very important to note about the laser is it is stronger the closer you are to enemies. And one thing that's also important to realize is you can walk into enemies, and like the process of walking into enemies won't hurt you in this game. Obviously, the attacks that they perform will hurt you, but walking into them won't. So you can just faceplant right into enemies as Starch and try to kill them really fast. Each character also has a secondary weapon. Starch has missiles that home in on enemies, and Aubergine has a singularity, which kind of draws enemies into it. It's basically sort of a gravity well sort of thing, and you can see it was just used right there. You have to be a little careful when you're playing co-op to make sure that you're not accidentally drawing enemies right towards your co-op player, but you're going to see people. You're going to see people takedowns, and falling down in this game costs you time, but there's no like limited life counter or anything like that. Rather than that, there is this battery that you see in the top center of the screen, which is basically a timer mechanic, and we actually just saw Aubergine pick one up. The full battery meter lasts 60 seconds, and every time you pick up a battery, it generally gives you at least 30 seconds more time, up to the maximum of 60. So if you're really low on battery, it can actually give you more time. So the game has a few like mechanics built in to try to make it more forgiving. So it manages to scale to your play level without really having to do anything outside of its own design. Like there's no difficulty settings. It's just a matter of, you know, how kind of setting your own bar in terms of how you play. And when you want to go fast, you generally want to power up your weapons as quickly as possible, which I'll discuss in the next stage. And avoid going down because that loses your weapon power-ups, your weapon energy again. So as they kill enemies, you're going to see these little white pellets that drop, and they kind of like draw them in when they're within a certain range of them. Those pellets give you weapon energy. If you look at the HUD at the top left and top right corners for each character, there is the life bar, which actually will recharge if you don't take damage for a few seconds. And then there's the weapon energy bar below that with little pellets on the side. The pellets represent what level you're at right now. So each of these players are at weapon level 2 at the moment. And when that bar fills up again, they'll be at weapon level 3, which is where you want to spend most of your time, because that is the most powerful weapon level. You also noticed right there that the battery actually almost expired on the floor there. Batteries stay around on the ground for about 10 seconds, and they start flashing green and red when they're about to expire. And you want to try to not let them do that. Although if you miss one battery, it's usually not the end of the world because you can usually hold out until another battery comes in. I should start discussing enemies. So here we've got these titans, these bomber titans. Oh boy, which just got the drop on Sam there.
I was so happy you went down first and I wasn't paying attention.
So right now we've got a bunch of kegs, which are just these little melee crawler enemies that can only hurt you when you're close to them. We saw the bomber titans, which shoot out those bombs. We'll be seeing some other enemies. We'll discuss those in the later stages. But first we have the first boss. So each sector, each zone has a boss at the end. So there's 5 levels, and the 5th one is a boss. This is Embryo, otherwise known affectionately as Doormat, because, well, he looks formidable when you first play the game. Yeah, that was kind of risky. And I should talk about how we take risks in this game. So Embryo goes around shooting these bullet patterns that sort of fan out. And when you're new to the game, you're probably scared of him and want to, like, keep your distance. But keeping your distance is actually arguably worse because then the bullets are more spread out. And they're actually harder to avoid. So staying in close, as you see Starch doing right here, is actually really important to, well, one, doing damage fast, and Starch's laser, as we said before, does damage more quickly when you're closer, but also just to efficiently maneuvering around bullet patterns. Now, one thing I want to point out with that, one of the phases we just saw was you saw that Starch was very purposely like staying in the center of the bullet pattern while Aubergine was on the outside. And as long as only one of them is drawing the focus from the boss, then that's fine. But if the boss ever changes focus for some reason, like, remind me, guys, does the boss change focus when you, like, based on how much damage each player is doing to it? Is that how that works?
On whoever's closest.
Oh, it's whoever's closest. Okay. So Sam wanted to stay close, and Mr. Bond wanted to keep his distance so that Embryo didn't suddenly switch targets, which would have swept the bullets across Sam, and he probably would have had a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, they made short work of Embryo, and now we're into Hive, which is the first level in the second set of levels in the second zone. And you'll see that the entire artistic direction of this level is completely different. So each zone of the ship, and there are 5, has completely different artistic design. We're being introduced to wasps here, which don't take a lot of... They're pretty weak, they don't take a lot to kill, but there are usually a lot of them at once, so you want to try not to get swarmed. Like, if there's only one of them hitting you, it can't damage you that much, but if there's, you know, a swarm of like 10 or more of them, then they could actually take you down really quickly if you unwittingly kind of run into them. So other enemies we're seeing here are, we've got the kegs again, we've got these drones, which are the little flying things that shoot bullets every so often. We've got hunter kegs, which shoot 3 blue bullets in a row. And we've got the titans. Remember the titans, everybody.
There we go.
And I should also discuss the power-ups that we're seeing. So you'll notice that there's power-ups that spawn on the stage when enemies die sometimes. And it actually cycles between 3 colors. There's the red power-up, which is firepower, which you'll notice these guys getting more often than not. Because obviously it's pretty much a free upgrade to your damage per second, so more damage is always a nice thing, because it means you can kill enemies faster and complete stages faster. The yellow power-up, which we just saw over there, and Mr. Bond just grabbed at a meaningless time, is Accelerate, which makes you run faster and also makes energy and batteries attract to you from farther away. So that can actually be useful if you are in a phase where you really need to like employ evasive maneuvers, but also don't want to lose weapon energy, obviously. And the third power-up, the blue one, which we saw a couple times on Embryo, is Shutdown, which makes all enemies stop moving and completely disabled for a couple of seconds. It also, for the person who picks it up, it recharges their health and gives them several seconds of invincibility.
Oh.
When you're playing co-op, that's actually kind of important to keep in mind who picked up the shutdown, because it's easy to forget that you didn't pick it up and then you try to tank damage, but you're not invincible and you end up kissing the pavement. So this level is called Influx, and you can see that the level design actually changes pretty considerably between phases, and we're going to see some more of that in later levels in the game as well. This level introduces Fidos, which they just want to be your friend and play fetch with you, but they play fetch with missiles, which you don't want to catch those. So you'll see these targeting reticles. We also saw this on Embryo, the first boss. You'll see these targeting reticles, which kind of get smaller and lighter as they close in, and you don't want to be there. You want to get out of the way of those before the missile actually drops. So that was the end of Influx. We're going to go into Oxygen next, which is the donut level. It starts out not too bad. Also, by the way, Mega Kegs, and a nice shutdown there right as the Mega Keg dropped on Sam. Mega Kegs are the big red ones, which take more damage. We're also going to see Blaster Titans here, which are the second form of Titan. And they pound the ground, as you can see, and send out a shockwave. They're actually, I don't know, I would argue they're easier to deal with than the Bomber Titans, just because as long as you circle strafe around them... Oh, by the way, mines? Yeah, mines. This is my least favorite phase of the level. So, incidentally, mines are sort of like what the Bomber Titans shoot at you, but there are different types of mines between what the Bomber Titans shoot, which don't count towards your chain or towards enemy kills, and the bombs that just drop from the sky. But yeah, bombs dropping from the sky is not cool. And having Accelerate helps to potentially avoid getting directly dunked on, because sometimes you really aren't going to see it coming until it's too late.
That was weird.
So now we've just got a bunch of stuff, a bunch of Hunter Kegs here. We had, I think, some bullet turrets in the previous phase as well. So just blue bullets all over the place. And now we've got some more Titans. Remember the Titans again, everybody. And you'll notice that the bombs, when they explode, when bombs and missiles explode, they show their explosions are red. And the Blaster Titans attacks are also red.
Oh,
whereas when lesser enemies they shoot blue bullets usually. And the difference is red damage will actually damage either you or enemies. So you can actually get enemies to kill each other with red damage. Whereas blue damage will only hurt player characters, and yellow or orange damage, which is what the player characters shoot, will only damage enemies. So this is process. This is the conveyor belt level. So if anybody loves conveyor belts, this is the level for you. P.S. Nobody loves conveyor belts. We've got all sorts of review of the various types of enemies that we've seen until now. Pretty much, you know, here we've got the bullet turrets again, the drones. There's a lot of bullets happening right now. And obviously the conveyors don't help that, because you can end up just kind of veering into a bullet as the conveyor moves you towards it. So you kind of have to keep in mind where you're standing, which way the conveyor is going if you're on it. Because if you try to move against the direction that the conveyor is going, you're basically going to go nowhere fast.
Give me turn red. There we go. Did we skip Wasp phase? Nope, here
Nope. I was going to say, I don't think so. I don't think there was phase skipping in this game.
I was real confused.
Yeah, we'll just accidentally invent a sequence break that we've never seen before at the marathon. It'll be okay.
That's never happened before.
There needs to be one of those, but I don't know. I've had a couple of moments like that in this game in some of the levels that I can point out later. But let's see. I haven't talked about the chain meter, which you've been seeing a lot of in the corners underneath the HUD. So what does this chain mean? Well, this chain has to do with scoring of the game. And this game is, you know, very arcade-oriented in terms of you can go for high scores in every single level. Oh, but let's talk about the second boss first. Nobody likes this boss. And you're going to see why really fast. Yeah, hi. Remember wasps? We've got wasps. We've got a lot of wasps. So this boss's phases alternate between wasp phases and phases where you actually have to hurt the boss.
Be brave. Be brave, Bon. Go get it.
No.
I don't think so. So now we're in the first phase where the boss actually comes out and shoots at you. But now we're going back into the next wasp phase. This I tend to find to be the hardest wasp phase because of the way that they surge in and out.
Oh no.
Okay, Sam did have firepower going into that, but that has run out. So yeah, now they just kind of have to work with the tide here.
Come on, get it. Oh, dang it.
Oh, that was unfortunately kind of a waste of a shutdown, but...
It looked cool, though.
Almost worked.
New screensaver. Alright, so...
For no reason.
We saw the vines in that phase. Those are going to make a comeback in the phase after this one. This phase, you can generally kind of keep the boss rolling around the edge here and not really going fast, so I find this easier to manage than the third phase. So now we've got the vines again. The The vines do generally come out in like in diagonal directions from the front of the boss, so you can kind of predict where they're going to be. I tend to just weapon swap through them, which is something that I need to talk about because we haven't talked about weapon swapping yet. So we're going into the third set of stages, which has a really cool like aesthetic style to it. Reflective floors, like freaking spectrum analyzers on the side of the level. Although actually, are you on like low graphics settings or something?
It shouldn't be.
I'm just noticing that I don't see the spectrum analyzers on the side of the level, and I'm like, why not? I've never noticed that not being there.
That's true. I don't know.
But anyway, this level looks more like a progressive level than most of them. Like most of them have been arenas. This level doesn't look like an arena, but it still plays like an arena. If you can't skip enemies. If you skip enemies, you're going to end up having to go back for them, or the level like this hallway section here can end up actually just stretching on forever. But as long as you defeat enemies and pick up batteries, the level will progress into the next section. Also, we've got super mines here, which cause really big explosions. Uh-oh.
I tried to save you.
What? Actually, what did he get hit by?
A super mine.
Was it? Okay.
Oh, okay,
Sure.
okay.
Like, oh, yeah.
Okay.
First you have mines, and
mines
then you have the bomber titans, which shoot more mines. Remember the titans, everybody.
Oh my god. It's gonna happen every time. Never stop it. Never stop doing that.
And here we have the first laser turret, which if you blink, you miss because it's already dead. The interesting thing about those laser turrets is they are red lasers, which remember what I said about damage colors, red damage can hurt enemies. So if you want, you could actually kind of, square dance with that laser turret and try to let it soften up enemies, but it's probably not worth it, especially in multiplayer where you've got more enemies doing more things and shooting more stuff at you. And yeah, remember that, oh, we've got another laser, which is already gone. And we've got more titans. Don't forget them.
Oh, I got yellow somewhere. Okay.
So we're actually nearing the end of the level here, as you can see by the enemies remaining, which always shows up at the bottom of the level. And actually, the next level is really interesting, and it is actually a really good place for me to talk about weapon swapping, which I was going to talk about earlier and didn't get a chance to.
Oh, I don't weapon swap. I coward strat.
What?
You'll see.
Well, it gets to be coward strat on like certain, like I do coward strat on like Dustfeeler, which we already passed, but I assume by coward strat you mean just keep swapping.
Oh no, I hide behind a box.
Oh, okay.
I let Bond get hit by the laser.
Yeah, so you'll notice that this level is continuously, like the background is continuously moving, and what we're going to see in this section coming up here, and there's actually an audio cue for it, is there's a laser.
Oh, I got hit too.
Yeah, I was going to say, you nearly died but didn't, because you did not weapon swap, so I was surprised there. So this laser... Oh yeah, how are you going to do weapon swap when you're lagging right now? Hopefully that won't be an issue at the event.
He tries. He tries.
This is why he does single player practice, so he can practice the actual timing, not the 50 milliseconds delayed timing.
Coward strat.
Yeah, he should probably use coward strat in this level while he's using Moonlight Stream to connect. So yeah, when you weapon swap, you actually glow white for a split second, and whenever you're glowing white, you're invincible. So you get the weapon swap is actually also a dodge mechanic, and it actually tells you that in the tutorial. It mentions both, but you really have to kind of get used to using it, and it's definitely possible to at least get to the final boss of the game in a casual playthrough, if not also beat the final boss without ever learning how to weapon swap. The final boss really kind of, encourages you to master it, though.
I hesitated.
So we're
I've actually done that too. Not knowing about weapon swap until the very end.
Yeah, I definitely didn't. The first time I played the final boss, I played it with Coral and basically, wussed out with the plasma field the whole time. But then I had a really bad time with the last phase. Anyway, we'll see that later. We're seeing some new enemies in the stage. So we've got these orbital factories, which are these big green round things that have these little fish that kind of swarm next to it. And you generally don't want to try to run right underneath them, because you're going to get hit by all the fish and you're going to go down really fast. We're also seeing wasp tanks. So there's these tanks, and when you, they're kind of like piñatas, except instead of candy, there's bees. So, Don't sign these guys up for your kid's birthday party. So we got through transit, which transit is definitely kind of the first level that's like, okay, we're getting into serious business. Speaking of serious business, more bees, and also a flamethrower on the side of the level. So this level is aptly called Heat, and yeah, it's called that because there's flamethrowers that come out of the sides of the level, and we'll see that it'll reverse direction at some points.
You left me.
Oh god, Sam is getting chased.
Sorry.
Okay, so we just saw that it actually reversed direction, and actually notice the flame just killed an enemy up there because the flame is also red, so it can do that. Which is actually kind of useful when you've got some lesser enemies. Oh, hello, mine phase. Yep.
I don't know how he's lived.
There's one of those here too. Weapons swap like your life depends on it, because it kind of does. So now the jets have stopped, which gives you a false sense of security. Pro tip, don't stand near where the jets turn on, because the jets are kind of going to turn on at some point once this phase ends. There you go. Yep, I don't know if an enemy just got cooked up there or not, but probably not. It probably got killed right before it turned on. And now we're seeing that the level changes direction and the jets kind of go on and off as it changes, and that's going to happen a few times, and it's just kind of going to keep growing in intensity. That's kind of how these levels work. They introduce the mechanic, and then they just keep getting crazier and crazier. And now you can see that both jets were actually on, and they're getting towards the end of the level now.
What?
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
I didn't see what hit you because the flame did.
I have no idea what hit me.
You were down before the flame actually crossed you, so I'm not really sure.
I think it was a hero wasp.
A hero wasp? What exactly is the meaning of hero wasp?
He sacrifices himself for his friends.
Meanwhile, I like that flame right in the camera angle at the end there. Okay, so we have another level that involves rotating things, except now the entire ground is going to rotate. So if you remember the conveyor belts from Process, this is kind of like those, except there's more of, well, maybe not more of them, but they're concentric circles, so the middle thing doesn't rotate, the one right outside that does, and it alternates. So the third one stays put, fourth one rotates, and the outermost one, which you probably don't want to be in too often because you're going to be away from the action, also stays still.
Give me!
Now what?
The power-up was running away.
Yeah, I was about to mention, actually, you might think that one of the strategies here is to stay on the non-moving platforms, and yeah, generally that's probably a good idea, because it's one less thing for you to deal with, is figuring out where you're going. But even if you're not on the moving platforms, the enemies and power-ups can be on the moving platforms. And so, yeah, we had Sam asking Power-Up Senpai to notice him, please, before. So we've got, again, a mix of all the enemies that we've mostly seen, and I think we'll be seeing the Vector Factory shortly in here as well. They're little, smaller red versions of the orbital factories. Yeah, here we go. Here's the Vector Factories. They again have little fishies, but instead of swarming around them in a circle, they shoot right towards you, hence the name Vector Factory.
I don't get it. I can't kill this guy, Jesus.
Do I need to explain math during this run?
Yes.
You can try. Oh, geez.
Well, vectors generally have a velocity and or I shouldn't say a velocity, a speed and a distance and a direction.
You don't know.
Well, yeah, I can't explain this. Vectors are generally, let's put it this way, vectors are often represented by an arrow, so you can think of it as the little fishes.
God, stop messing with the camera, please.
I thought he was going to say stop trying to explain math, please, but I think I'll stop anyway.
No, I stopped listening to that. It didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense, you're correct. Note to self, don't try to explain math at an actual marathon. How to lose viewers.
Or gain viewers, depending.
Actually, I wonder if they'll ever speedrun frog fractions, but anyway. Okay, third boss. His name is Justice. He just rained from above. Shoutouts to Overwatch, everybody. And he has a big laser. And it's very much choreographed, so you can tell when he's going to fire it. He does actually track you until shortly before he's going to fire, basically when it charges up, right before he fires. Okay, so they're already through the first phase, so we didn't get to see some of the stuff that normally happens there. He dropped the laser fences, which we will see more of. He also tries to drop little orbs that will tether to you and try to take you for a walk, which is not fun. Now we're through the second phase where he shot a bunch of little rocket things at you, which will generally take you down in one hit. Here we've got laser fences again, but because they use shutdown, you're not really seeing too much of them. They somehow dropped chain, which I actually didn't get to finish explaining before, did I?
I don't know how we did.
We skipped one of his heads.
Well, that was a really good justice. Holy cow.
It was
52 seconds, I mean, geez. Oh, gold split, alright. We won't actually have splits to compare to on the actual marathon. Alright, so now we're into the fourth zone, and level design starts getting really dynamic here. So we saw influx before in the second zone, which had a lot of like changes to the levels through each phase. Here we're going to see different types of platforms dropping in and out all over the place. And generally you want to try to find a platform you like and try to stay on it so that it doesn't drop out and get replaced with a crappy platform. Because you'll see that some of the platforms have holes in the middle, some have a big gaping hole like that one at the top right now. There's a half a platform over there in the bottom right now. There's a platform with 4 columns in the bottom center. And sometimes there's platforms that have like a mix of like 3 holes and 3 columns, which is so hopefully we don't get stuck with those. Also, we've got more mines dropping on us here. In single player, I like to take accelerate to avoid mines dropping on my head here, but it's much harder to predict what's going to happen when you're playing co-op because there's more enemies. So like it's generally the same formation in terms of like what types of enemies are in each phase, but you will have more of them.
Whoa, and that was unfortunate.
Whoa. How many Titans? Remember the Titans, everybody. They want to make sure that we don't forget them right now.
Man.
I feel like this is gonna get really old by the end of the run.
Nah, it's fine. It's perfect. I love it.
So meanwhile, I didn't discuss chain. Let's discuss chain. As you kill enemies within a short time span of each other, like 2 seconds, you will build up this chain, and you'll see that like there's this sort of radial meter around the chain that indicates like how much time you have to kill another enemy to keep the chain going. Now, chain multiplies your score up to 10x, as you can see on both of their chain counters right now. You also see that sometimes the chain turns red, which is what happens when you surge the chain, which happens if you kill 2 or more enemies in a really short span of time between each other, like we're talking like a quarter of a second or less. If you're going for score attack on this game, there are a couple of characters that are really good at chain surges, and they're generally...
Oh, couldn't handle
with
those
1
two.
enemy left. And they're generally, those characters are generally highly favored for score attack. Score attack and time attack are 2 very different things, though. I mean, they're not completely mutually exclusive, but you don't care about the chain when you're trying to go fast. So, like, for instance, they had that amazing 52-second Justice fight before, where they dropped the chain because they didn't bother killing some of the things that are optional to kill, like his heads that he throws in the 3rd phase. But they still got a really good time just by focusing down the boss. So this is Relay. This is another level that's kind of like Checkpoint in that it's very sort of linear as opposed to just being one fixed arena.
Oh my, come on, man. Come on. You took it from me. And then you went down.
Gotta make things interesting here. We can't just rock this all the time.
Yeah, it's one of the saddest things is picking up a power-up and then immediately kissing the pavement because you lose the power-up.
Oh, that made me so
you lose your weapon
sad.
energy and you lose any equipped power-ups. Generally, firepower and accelerate last for about 15 seconds apiece, I think, and you can.
I think so, yeah.
And you can actually pick up another one and buffer up to like 30 seconds total with them, I believe. So, in some of these stages, you'll just see like, especially one of the first stage in the next zone, you'll just see power-ups dropping all over the darn
Don't
place.
get them anymore.
Sam says Mr. Bond is grounded now.
He is.
Too late.
No TV for a month.
Oh, damn. Okay, shoot.
Come on, that was an easy one to avoid.
It was. It really was. That's okay. I bet nobody will notice.
You.
So we're nearing the end of the level,
You.
and actually, they're not going to do this. But one thing that you can potentially do at the end of this level is stay on the second to last platform so it doesn't drop, and makes it's sometimes a little safer, but it's also potentially less fast. So they want to get all up in enemies' faces to kill them quickly, so they're just roughing it on the final platform, which has all these holes and walls to deal with.
You're getting hit
Also-
by Karma Bond. That's what it feels like.
Take it. I'll take it if it means you can't have a power up.
We're also seeing turbo drones in this level, which are the red flying things, so they're a more powerful variant of the drones that we saw earlier on. They shoot 3 bullets in a row, and they can take you down pretty quickly. Like, is 1 bullet barrage from a turbo drone enough to actually knock you down?
No,
I'm thinking
I
it's
think
close.
they only cause 1 damage per bullet still.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not sure. It gets you real low at least. I think they only do they fire 3 or 4?
3, I believe. Okay, now we've got more lasers, which in this case are not coming. They're coming from the Reaper Spectres, which you're not really seeing much of because they're getting killed so fast. But they work kind of like Justice did, where like they aim at you and then they stop tracking a second before they're going to fire. Remember the Titans, everybody?
I
You got
do.
more of them?
I remember them.
Yeah. That's good because there's going to be more in the
drop?
later parts
Nope.
of this level too. Nope, we got more. We have actual laser turrets before the drop. There's going to be at least in single player. There's 2 of them. In multiplayer, I'm guessing there's maybe 3. I don't
Oh,
know.
I said still.
Oops.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe it's still 2 on this phase.
Yeah, I guess. Now you're going to prepare for the drop, probably.
Yeah.
There
I
you go.
wish that
So you want to
fire
be
hit
sort of towards the outside of this level when you drop there, because there's this flame in the middle, and you're not going to be entirely sure
snipe.
which way it's pointing. So you don't want to drop right onto it and just fall down immediately. Now this flame, you'll notice, is blue, not red, which means you can't let it do your dirty work for you. It's not going to hurt enemies. You have to do all the enemy damaging. Although there are going to be, well, remember the Titans? There's going to be those. And they can help you out in hurting enemies. Also, the Reaper Spectres can also help you out. Because their lasers are also red. But you generally probably want to get rid of the Reaper Spectres as soon as possible. Especially if they line up on the outside like those 2 just did. Depending on like the angle you're at, it can actually be kind of hard to get away from them. You guys have a battery... Okay. I was going to say it was drawing into... Oh, you had
Oh
accelerated.
my god,
That's
let go of me, please.
Oh, yeah, Fetch Fidos. I didn't talk about them. We actually saw those starting on the first level of this zone. So, Fetch Fidos are blue toaster dogs as opposed to the white toaster dogs that fire missiles. These guys don't fire anything, but they're like the orbs that the first phase of Justice that we really didn't get to see, where they leash you and kind of like... Well, the orbs would actually kind of drag you across the stage, but the Fetch Fidos generally just kind of stay in one place. So you're basically kind of just tied to a telephone pole or something. But you don't want your movement restricted like that. That's a really bad thing. So when you see a Fetch Fido sort of lining up with you, you know he's probably going to try to tether you, and you want to get rid of him as soon as possible. So now we're into Repeater, which is a really interesting level in terms of like the dynamics, because you'll see that the floor constantly forms up around you. It's kind of like, actually, I was watching one reminded of Bastion, which is actually kind of a good point, because that was kind of the thing throughout the entire game of Bastion.
Oh my goodness.
Holy
Also,
cow.
Mind Phase. Wow, Mr.
do
Bond
it?
managed to not get
We
killed there.
done dude it. Holy.
I got knocked down to 1 health and somehow survived.
Oh, okay.
We're just that good.
Fun fact about this level, in the That's Never Happened Before department, one time I managed to see a keg that was trapped between 4 walls. And the only way that I literally thought my run was over, but I was starched and I could actually splash damage it through the wall with the micro missiles.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I have a highlight of that somewhere. I don't know if that's supposed to be able
Mine
to happen or
canisters.
not. Oh yeah, mine tanks, the other type of tank.
Did we do the second mine phase already?
No, that's the first.
Oh dang it. That's not good.
Wait, really? Is the second mine phase after that?
Yeah.
I thought once you get to the mine tanks, you're beyond both of the mine.
I
Yeah, maybe. I don't remember now.
Oh god. Oh no, I'm in a bad spot.
Because the second mine phase is right before the phase with the, I think it has wasp tanks and drones or something. I
Yeah,
forget.
that's.
Or wasp tanks and fetch Fidos.
We haven't hit that yet. I don't think.
Oh,
I think you already burned through it because this is definitely one of the last phases.
Are you sure?
wow.
Yep.
Just totally blaze a
You
trail
just,
through it.
yeah,
That
you
was
just blazed it completely.
awesome.
Oh.
They keep thinking this is the well, okay, the first time you thought you skipped the phase you hadn't gotten
Wow,
to
we
yet, but
really
this time,
did. Holy cow.
This time you really like blazed through an entire phase without realizing it.
Wow.
That's great.
Okay.
Can we do more of that?
We'll have to watch the replay of this later to find out whether
Holy cow.
if the
Oh
mines
my
actually
God.
happened.
That's split.
All right, so this is Venom, otherwise known as boss fight Ikaruga %.
Don't screw it up, Bond.
I got it this time.
Yeah, let's see. I imagine that the co-op boss strat is kind of, you have to be kind of careful to do co-op without kissing the pavement a lot because you can easily end up running into things or making each other running into things.
I messed it up.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Alright, we're
But
good.
yeah, so the reason I call it Ikaruga % is because we've got all these bullet patterns that feel very much like a shmup. In fact, the developers had to tone this down during early access testing because like people thought it was way too brutal. And it's still really cool, and like it still poses a challenge when you don't know what the heck is going on. And now we're actually gonna have two turrets. You can see there's bullets coming from the other side too, but they're focusing on this one first. These dark blue bullets are actually pretty damn painful. Nope, now I said it.
Oh man, you're gonna get
I don't know if
kicked out.
is that word actually on the bad word list? Because like that's a pretty mild bad word, but they're pretty dang painful in that they will generally drop you in one hit for them usually. Maybe if you have accelerate, you can maybe get away with one. And now we've just got, this is like one of the worst phases because there's just so much happening. It's so easy to end up walking into stuff because you're trying to see where are you shooting
I'll get
at.
the blue. Oh nope, didn't.
Oh, come on.
And here we have the second
Alright,
spin
got it.
noodle. Shout outs to Moonspot.
Told you I'd get it.
So that phase definitely catches people by surprise at first. And then we've got all of these dark blue bullets of death. But yeah, that was the Spindly Doodle phase. Shout outs to Moonspot. This is, am I allowed to say the butt phase at this event? I don't know.
Yeah,
I said it during.
butt is pretty good.
I think butt is okay. So yeah, that's Venom's butt, and he's shooting webs at you, which slow you down. And there's these little critters that explode.
Whoa, okay.
And now this is the last
Howdy,
phase where
senior.
he
Howdy,
tries to
sir.
run over you.
Oh my god, howdy, sir. You need to get out of there, man.
Oh my god.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't fantastic.
No, but it worked.
Weird noise.
Yeah, you guys actually golded on Repeater, I guess. Which is not surprising given you weren't even realizing you passed the phase already.
Skip the mine phase.
Yeah.
I got jumped.
Alright. Welcome to Centrifuge. This is the first level of the final zone, and this is one of people's. This is kind of a favorite
help
among
me.
speedrunners.
Oh man, I tried.
Alright, I got red. No more downs.
Oh.
So a couple of runners like to play this with virtual player count set to 4, because there's just an insane amount of stuff going on. Like virtual player count is a mod you can unlock in the game that gives you the amount of enemies equivalent to if you were playing 4 players, or however many players you select, but you're only playing 1 player. So virtual player count 4 means enemies are all over the place. There's a ton of them. They take a lot more to kill, but there's also going to be more power-ups, and it's actually kind of hilarious to watch this being played with VPC4 because you just hear the androids calling out power-ups all the time. By the way, mine tanks are actually like really easy to take care of if you have shutdown because you can just walk right into them and destroy them in a split second. So that's kind of a handy tactic to employ on them. But yeah, the enemies in this stage come out of the sides. The side will spin up because it's a centrifuge, and then it'll just stop and one of the walls will open and
Watch
a bunch
out.
of enemies come pouring out. Yep, we've got more mine tanks.
Ooh.
Continue
Oh,
watching
boy.
out.
Oh boy.
It's alright, it's fine. We're good.
Oh boy. And oh, here we've got the what are these Fidos called again? Are these no,
They
not
Mega Fidos or something. Something real-
for some reason I can't remember the name because
What?
it's not Turbo Fido, it's
I think it's
All right, I'm
Jumbo.
Jumbo Fido. Yeah, that's right. There you go. So they're kind of like the regular Fidos in that they shoot missiles, but they shoot a lot of small missiles instead of one big missile. But generally, you just have to keep moving when you see them open their tops to fire missiles at you. If you're fast, you can kill them before they ever fire missiles, but yeah, don't count on that with the amount of enemies that happen here. Okay, Control is a really interesting stage. You'll notice that they immediately activated this machine gun turret, and this stage actually has 3 such turrets, so to speak. There's the machine gun turret at the bottom here. There's a plasma field turret that acts like Coral's secondary weapon, which basically makes this sort of like electric orb that just kind of zaps anything that's within its radius. We generally don't use that turret in this level because it kind of requires staying too much in the same place and keeping enemies close to you, which is kind of dangerous.
Also, so missiles go through it.
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean like Fido missiles?
Yep, Fido missiles go right through it.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of Fido missiles, there's some Fido missiles. So we really like the machine gun turret because you only have to step on it to activate it, and then you can move around and it stays active. The disadvantage to that is, well, there's no real way to conserve ammo with it. It'll just go until it runs out, and then you have to wait for it to restock. Okay, so these are Buster Titans. You didn't really see much of that one. There's one on the bottom right now. What they do, if you give them the chance, is they will kind of jump at you and then try to ground pound.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Oh my gosh!
Oh man.
No, it's fine. Fine.
I need that blue.
Yeah, the mine tanks in this level are kind of mean because you don't generally have too much room in any particular direction to go. Also, oh, okay, the stream just buffered for a second, but it's back.
Oh, that's weird.
How have things been for you, Mr. Bond?
Pretty good.
Okay, cool.
How's life in general?
You know, okay.
Well, my tail light's out, but you know, everything's swell. And then in the top right, we actually haven't. They've been hanging out with the machine gun turret the entire time. They are not. In the top right, there's a missile turret, which can also be useful, and Mr. Bond's going to demonstrate it now. The difference is you have to stand. You have to stay standing on that in order for it to fire, which again has the pro and cons because you can control how much ammo it uses.
Oh my gosh!
But you have to kind of stay in one place. So yeah, machine gun is by far the most preferred, but obviously it's going to run out of ammo sometimes. I think you guys are.
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, a little bit ahead. Okay. All right. So welcome to Convection, also known as the longest stage in the game.
Worst stage. Depends how Collider goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even the title of longest stage in the game also depends on how Collider goes, but you don't want Collider to go that bad. But yeah, Convection, as the name suggests, the gimmick here is you've got these sort of stovetop jet sort of things on the level, and they turn red, which means they can damage enemies too. But basically, they activate and they won't immediately kill you. They'll just kind of like, it's sort of a slow bake kind of thing. You just don't want to stay standing on them. If you see them turning on, just get off of them as soon as possible and try not to run across them. You'll see that like the patterns that it employs cycles, and sometimes it'll actually follow where you're moving too, which is maybe one of the more dangerous things it can do actually.
Yeah, you
there's also a couple.
Can't stop moving when it follows you. You can't stop moving at all.
Yeah. Which is almost worse if you have Accelerate, because it's like, oh god, what the hell's going on? I just turned on Nibbles hard mode.
Oh, who got that one? Oh,
I did.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, that's the thing about especially shutdowns is like, if you don't know who got it, you don't know who's invincible and who's not. You have to really look closely at your character to see if it's glowing white or not to know whether you're invincible.
Oh, that was super dumb. Ah.
I agree, it was. Oh no, that thing needs to die. There we go. Alright, now the fire is following us.
Yep. I haven't really paid attention enough to the stage when playing it co-op, which I've only done a few times, like as to whether it followed both players, but yeah, it does.
It does.
Which means it would be even worse on like 4-player.
It would.
4 streams of fire just going everywhere, yeah.
Yeah, 4 people playing Snake against each other.
You could
I'm
play
realizing-
Snake against each other. You
I'm
actually
realizing
could.
that
It's funny.
I mean, you
Okay,
kind of still have to beat the level.
For Venom, we got Snake on Convection.
Please get that blue. Thank you.
You're welcome. Get that one too for good measure.
And now we've got. Oh, wait, is this still following you, or is this?
Yeah,
It is still following you.
Final phase follow.
It's doing both. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say because I was seeing the patterns, but I'm also seeing it follow you.
Holy cow! I didn't think that was the end.
Yeesh.
All right, so yeah, now we get introduced to Assault Android Licorice, which, if you followed the story, which we haven't been, we've been skipping all boss dialogue. You find out you kind of find a hint of Licorice at the end of the Venom fight because you see her silhouette and she kind of runs away. Like, yeah, if you keep following, then you'll find out. So she introduces herself at the beginning of this level, but then she runs away and lets her minions do the dirty work. But yeah, we'll see her in a little bit.
Alright, please, thank you.
Incidentally, that first phase, which had all the Titans, remember the Titans? There were the Titans, is one of the hardest things to get a full combo on the stage with, which I talked about the chain before, but I didn't talk about ranks. So basically, depending on your score and your performance, you can get a rank from D through S+. So you have DCBA, which are strictly score-based. You have S, which you'll get if you never fall down. And you have S+, which you get if you never break chain, which also requires not falling down. And this level generally has two parts that are hard to keep chain on. One is the very first phase because you have lots of big enemies and low weapon energy, and the other is this fight. So now we're fighting Licorice, and you'll notice we don't see the score at the bottom center of the screen anymore. Now we see another battery. So Licorice shares pretty much all of the mechanics that the playable androids have. In fact, Licorice is a playable android after you beat the game.
Spoilers.
Got it.
So this
that.
is really a war of attrition. You want to get the battery, you don't want to let her get the battery.
Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it.
Where is she?
She's over here
She's
by me.
down.
Oh, there. Okay.
Get up!
This one.
Whoa, yeah. I mean, you could argue that you have a slight advantage playing co-op in that there's more of you than there is of her, so you can try to cover the battery better, but it's really still up to you.
Oh no, it was right on her.
Oh, dang it.
I did that.
That was
I just put the whammy on it.
No. Oh man, I
Yeah,
almost let a really bad word fly. I'm glad I did not.
Generally, oh,
you
okay,
go,
you
nice.
got that one. Okay. Generally, each battery that Licorice gets wastes at least 15 seconds, maybe more. Because, like, I don't know, does it give her a full 30
Get that one.
seconds more?
Get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it.
Please, please,
Got it.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
I'm
All right,
done
you
shooting.
got her.
I'm done shooting.
Yeah. Generally, once you get her down to the final countdown. Anyway, once you get her down to that, you generally just want to stop hitting enemies if there's been a battery at all recently, so that no battery drops, hopefully. Just focus on keeping her down, and you'll generally have it at that point. So this is the final boss, Medulla. Whoa, that was a bad place to stand.
Yeah, it
for Mr.
was. Super bad.
It's like, hi, Laser, will you be my friend?
Just
But,
like everybody else has said no.
Aw, sad.
I was mentioning before that this boss will encourage you to learn how to weapon swap, and like you'll notice that in that first phase, and we'll also see in the next phase after this one, like the bullets just kind of surge out from the center all at once.
Oh, come on.
So that was an embryo refight, by the way. So here, when the bullets surge out, you basically have two choices: either try to play it safe by staying on the outside and maneuvering your way in, or stay right in the center next to the boss and then weapon swap right as it shoots the bullets out. You're actually seeing them hang back here, but that's also because it was nearly the end of the phase. Whoa, that was pretty close for Mr. Bond right there. I don't know how that didn't hit him.
Yeah.
But they got the shutdown.
Done.
Getting shut down on Vespril's phase here is always good because this phase is just super annoying and dangerous.
She needs
So
to die,
basic-
though, please.
Yeah, oh jeez.
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh,
I got her.
jeez.
Alright, I need this
Okay.
red. This will help speed us up a little.
But yeah, so basically the second, fourth, and sixth phases involve refighting the last phase of the first three bosses. We do not fight Venom again because, well, Venom would have trouble fitting in
What?
this room.
Spawned on top of me.
Well, it kind of what the ring of bullets, you mean?
Yeah.
It does kind of warn you though, right?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
It kind of like it goes in before it goes out, sort of.
Oh, we're both going for that.
Whoa, that was yeah. Hero shutdown. And another shutdown. One thing you can actually do on this boss, they chose not to, is wait for a couple other laser fences to pop them so that you get another power up going into this fight. This is the second to last phase. It feels like the last phase. The game wants you to think it's the last phase. I shouldn't actually say it's the second to last phase in itself. So this phase throws a whole lot of stuff at you, including a laser, which can also hit the boss. Okay. There's an achievement for that, actually. If you kill the boss with its own laser, there's a stop shooting yourself.
Don't go over there. There's a lot of tentacles. Oh my god.
Yeah, so this boss can get out of hand really quick. So, alright, they managed to deal with the tentacles and kill Medulla, or so we think. Oh wait, no, what's this? Hey, it's not quite dead yet. I think it's getting better. So this is the Ether Sphere, which at least it used to be everybody's worst nightmare. The developers actually made the enemies a little bit easier to kill on this sometime a few months ago, to try to encourage more people to be able to.
Really?
Yeah, the hurt boxes for the explosions on the big cubes is kind of ridiculous. It's not always clear exactly where they're going to explode,
God,
and they also explode on delay.
That's a lot of lasers.
Oh, I'm in. Holy cow!
Oh, Starch, what's the deal here?
Wow, that was something.
But we did it, and time stops when we hit continue at the end of this to go into the last cutscene. So